Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Every Day is Friday Podcast 365. I'm your host, Matthew, and remember to subscribe so you can join me on this journey where every day is Friday. Today, I got a special guest joining us today, Luis Omar. He is a man who has spent over 15 years helping people build real wealth the smart way. He is a top mortgage lending expert, a commercial real estate pro, and the founder of HGRN Holdings. Luis, thank you for being here, man. How you doing?
Man, thanks for having me on. We already had a podcast, but we're going to start again.
I know. And I'm looking forward to this podcast. We talked a lot before the podcast, and I was just like, we got to press record. How has life been treating you lately, man?
Life is good, man. Life is life be lifing. It's a say. I said that on a podcast. People are going, "Oh, life be lifing, life be lifing, man." But like you got to really take inventory and be like, "Yo, wow, these are my problems." Like whatever problems you have, as long as not health. Like you when you're on the sideline, you start like you want to have anything. You want to like I want somebody, and now like you start accumulating shit, and now you have to devise things like life insurance and that just like a plan, right? A plan, and that becomes the thing. Like so cycles are up and down. I believe the real estate market is going to start moving heavy again this year. I can't give you the exact percentage, but this was like the lowest amount of transactions nationwide for the whole year. It was really jacked up. The amount of sales that happened were very low. And I think now we're starting to see like a little crack in it because I'm seeing a lot of movement. And I think it's going to start moving again.
That's really interesting because I read something today that Gen Z is actually putting their money into stocks more than putting it into real estate right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, I don't know. I mean, I have three sons. I have a 30-year-old, a 25-year-old, and a 21-year-old. My 25-year-old moved out. He's renting. My 30-year-old is in Pennsylvania, and he's in the middle of buying something with his girlfriend. And my 21-year-old's in his last year of school, and he has no urgency to leave the house, which he got it pretty good, man. Everybody else moved out. He has a whole floor to himself, 2 bedrooms, a bathroom. Like, he's good. So, and he told me that he's like, I'm good. I'm not looking to leave, Dad. So it's different. Like when I grew up, we didn't have anything, right? So we had to. I want to be out. Why? Because this sucks, right? But now here we are on the other side of the pendulum where we've done a little right for our kids. So you can't get mad at them. Like if they know they got it good, like, you know what I'm saying? Like they should. They should take advantage of it. That's what the whole point of being a father and a mother is, or a parent. But the dichotomy or perspective is so crazy because where I came from, look, I was the first one. I bought a house with my mother. I was going to move out and buy something. She had just gone through her second divorce, and I was like, yo, let's just buy something together, right? Like I became the big thinker. And then, I did that, and then other people in my family just started hitting me up saying, how do we do that? I want you to do that for me. And I became that guy. So now they're aware of it. They're more financially literate. Things are better. So they're hanging out. They're in a really good position.
Yeah, you're giving them every opportunity in life,
Right.
to make it.
Yeah. Yeah. And not in a like me, I had to rush through everything, right? It was a rush. I have to get through school. Why I have a baby? Everything was a rush for him. Like I told my 21-year-old, especially, I said, look, I want you to be a student and kind of like enjoy it. There will be a time when it's over and you got to get busy. Like you're going to want to become your own guy, run your own house, do your own thing. You'll find a woman or, like these things are going to happen. They're on their, they're on the path. Right. And I'm not like a fortune teller, but it's basically the way you evolve as a man. So I try to put him on, but he's taking it. The one thing I've done with my youngest so far is I've been taking him on events with me. So now he's starting to see the business and he's getting a real immersion class in cultures. I took him to the New York City Real Estate Expo and he couldn't believe how many, the bankers are mostly Jewish, right? The owners of large institutions. And I've been doing this for like 20 years, man. So I'm cool with everybody. Everybody like, oh, Ma, what's up? And he's like, yo, how do you know these guys? I was like, because when you're collaborating and making money with people, like people, they buy into the whole skin thing. I was like, it's not a skin thing. The higher you go, the less that's about. It's about what value can you add, right? And how can we make money together? That becomes the thing, right? As you start ascending, there's no more of that because that little crabs in a barrel thing is just people they're taking these things they grew up with in their neighborhoods and they're kind of trying to apply them. Once you start ascending, you're like, None of that shit matters, man. Like, how can I make this a win-win, and how can we add value to each other? That should become the end all goal. And that's one of the things he was like, wow, that's crazy, dad. And I take him to, the banking expos, the real estate expos, the Spanish expos, the everywhere. Like I told him, I'm thinking about going to Miami soon. He was like, I'm in. I want, he's in school, but he's starting to learn this part of it.
No, that's a great thing to do is, take them to your work and see if they actually want to follow up and see what they want to work with you or even do what you do because they could go off into another direction at the end of the day if they wanted to.
Well, the big thing also is, right, he's in college and he's being taught a lot of theory. And I'm showing, I have a saying, application beats theory all the time. So I'm like, no, no, you're gonna come do this. Like I published a book, right? I had him at a desk selling my book. I was like, you should read the book. So when they ask you questions, you'll know about the book. He's like, all right. And then now he has questions about the yo, you can do that, dad? Like that's possible. Like it's I'm not tricking him. I'm just, yo, man, this is what it is. Take a look, right? You don't have to do this, but at least somebody asks you, you know what your dad does, right? My stepfather was a butcher, right? I know what he did because he made me pack chickens into plates and my hands were frozen when I was a kid. Same concept.
Now, what did you learn growing up that helped you in business today?
I'll say some of that is just growing up in the Bronx in a really poor neighborhood. You kind of see value. You kind of because nobody ever had enough. And I grew up in the '90s, right, and the '80s and '90s, which in the Bronx was crazy. So you would see like the drug dealers and them having stuff, and you're like, "Yo, I want stuff. Like, how do they get stuff?" And not to say you should become a drug dealer, but you actually see these guys are running businesses, right? They have their own things, and clients are lined up, and I'm like, well, they have something that you want, and da da da, and then the sneaker culture came out, and then people are starting to buy and sell sneakers, and then it was just arbitrage, right? Use Gary Vee. It was arbitrage. Like, okay, if I buy for this and sell for this, I can make money, and that's kind of at 12 years old. I was working. I had a job at the supermarket. There were no legal papers, but the manager of the supermarket my parents worked at was like, if he wants to work, people work. And I wanted to buy sneakers. I wanted to look cool, so I was like, yo, I'll work. And stacking cans or whatever. Like I didn't care. Like you want me to sweep? I don't care. Like I'm gonna get a check. Like because my mother especially. I grew up with a single mother for a long time. She kind of like she embedded in my head that we don't have it. Like I don't know from your culture, but like the Spanish culture is like eat now because when we go outside, don't ask for anything, right? So that's how I grew up. So I wanted to get shit. So I was like, well, if I get my own job, nobody can tell me to do anything. So that's what I did. I started working like was really young, and just start. I always dedicated myself to the job, meaning I was always a good worker. So what would happen is I would get more opportunity. Be like, yo, he's good. Like somebody, like write references, right? They're like, yo, that kid, he's pretty good. You think he'll work over here? Yeah. Yo, he asked me, he's good work. He's always there. And that's kind of what perpetuated me through my whole life, right? Just being diligent and being aggressive. I remember one time I called one of my employers and I was like, yo, I could work Saturday and Sunday if you need me. He had never gotten a call because it was a restaurant and that's a grueling business, right? But I'm like 16, 17, so I have all the energy. So I'm like, yo, I could work 2 days a week. He's like, nobody's ever called me and told me they're available. He's like, come on in. So like, and me and him are really good friends to this day. And he's actually one of my best clients. He buys a lot of real estate.
Omar, can you dive in a little bit deeper for someone like our listeners that are listening out there that aren't familiar with New York? I mean, what did your culture and community teach you about hard work?
What decade? I mean, look, New York, like they say, you make in New York, you make it anywhere, right? Um, New York is aggressive. It caters to the aggressive culture, and the aggressive culture is like, what are you willing to do? For example, I'll give you one example. I had one transaction where my client was in Qatar, right? Qatar is like 5 hours behind us. And the only way to get a verification of employment for him was to call Qatar at 3 or 4 in the morning. Y'all was up at 3 or 4 in the morning calling Qatar. I was like, yo, we gotta get it was a decent transaction. The fee was like the coupon they call it in banking's like it was like $15,000. So it was big money. And I was like, yo, like though I'm willing to do more than other people are willing to do because they'll automatically disqualify themselves. Now remember when I come from nothing. So I was like, yo, man, what is this? Just waking up early? It's not a big deal. Like other people be like, that's crazy. Like, no, it's not. Like it's what you do in the early morning or the deep evening where nobody's applauding, nobody's, hey, yeah, go get that, that will define you, because those are the movements that you make that create the character that you have, right? So going back to the question, what raised me, scarcity raised me, right? Scarcity raised me. And then as I start acquiring stuff, you got to get around people that are more ahead of you to understand. But I have a really great story for an example of brotherhood, right? So I bought our first house in 04, 05. The appraiser comes to the house. The appraiser is the guy who gives the value of the house, right? For those who don't know, he comes, he makes a 40-page report about the house, the value of the house, comparison of other houses in the neighborhood. Da, da, da. Me and that guy, we become pretty cool. I'm not gonna say his name's Edmund, but he's my man E. He's still my boy now. So I remember us, I bought the house, whatever. And then I got into the banking business after I bought the house. And so I called him and said, yo, I'm gonna need help. Like, you're gonna be appraiser. He's like, I got you. Da, da. So we started doing business. Fast forward like 5 or 6 years, I decided to open up a real estate company. So I call him up. I was like, oh, E, man, you got to get your agent license, right? And just to give an example, agents can make 4 to 6% of a transaction in New York City. 4%, 4 or 6% of 100 to 100 million, doesn't matter. Whatever you negotiate with your client. So I was like, I'm opening up the agency. You should get in on this. He's like, you think so? Because as an appraiser, you're only making $500 a report. So you're making money, but you got to do like 30 reports. So he was like, all right. I knew he went to NYU like I did. So I knew he was intelligent. So he takes the test. The test is like a 75 multiple choice answer. It's not a big deal. 250 online hours of education. So he takes the test. He goes, "Yeah, I passed it. I didn't send my licensing yet. It's like $25. It's ridiculously cheap." I was like, "Bro, what are you doing? Send the fucking thing in." He goes, "Okay." So he sends it and he goes, "Oh, I'm an agent. Oh, like, yeah, I made it." So I said, "All right, man. So now what you got to do is talk to your family. First is you talk the circumference of people, let them know what you're doing, so that if they can support you, they will." So he's at the table and he makes the announcement to his family. He's like, "Hey guys, listen, I'm going into the whole agent thing. And if you guys need help," I think his sister and her husband were at the table with them. It was Sunday dinner, and I said, "You can ask them if they need a mortgage. My help, I can help with that or whatever." So he's like, "Hey guys, so I'm just letting you know." So the brother-in-law says, "Oh, we're looking." So he's like, "Oh, really?" He's like, so he's asking qualifying questions, right? Not to get into it, but so he goes, "How much money you putting down?" He goes, "Look, we're gonna buy all cash. We're looking at like 1 million something." So he's like, "This guy's rich," right? So he does the deal. Anyway, it was that simple. Closed in 2 weeks. He made, I don't know, whatever, $20,000. It was great. Fast forward 5 more years, his family starts buying buildings. They start evolving. So he owns like 400 units right now. During COVID, he calls me up. He goes, "Yo, we were representing this buyer on a transaction, and the buyer was acting a little sketchy. Um, but the appraisal, going back to that report, right? The appraisal of the building came back, and our contract was for 1.6 for 21 apartments, and the appraisal came back at 2,000,001. So our buyer, decides he can't do it. I don't know what happened. Something, he was getting divorced, some craziness. So he calls me, goes, "Oh, we got to do this." So I was like, I can't do it by myself. We started doing numbers. He's like, "Me, you, like 4 of us." He's like, "We all put this much money in." So I'm like, "Yo, I got this right now. I don't got the whole thing." He's like, "Yo, I got you." But the reason, so that's how I started getting to multifamilies. But the reason I tell that story is because here he started as an appraiser, and I pushed him and became an agent. And then him and his family start buying stuff, and then he comes and pulls me back, and he pushes me up, like kind of the relationship. And that's really what I want to kind of highlight there, because that's what life is. All relationships is all. If you're doing good for your brother's gonna do good for you. And there's so many canned ways of saying it. The work takes care of you, take care of the people take, like, it really is that simple. And it has to come from a pure place. It can't be with intentions behind it. The universe will see through that. I'm big on energy, I'm big on spirituality. I believe you do things for the right reason, and it always comes back to you tenfold. And that is how I became a multifamily apartment building owner. Like, putting my boy on years ago, and he put me on, and here we are, still boys to this day.
You know, that reminds me of me doing this podcast. Like, I have guests on the show, and then they give me a guest to come on the show as well. And then,
Mhm.
I give them some knowledge. They give me something out of it too. It's always a give take relationship with all my guests, and it's a lot of the listeners too that come on the show. They always ask me
Yeah,
good questions and stuff like that.
that's awesome.
Omar, I really want to ask you. I mean, how did you first get started as a loan officer?
As a loan officer, so I had the liquor store. If you've heard my other interviews, I had the liquor store and I had a kid that I grew up with who I called my cousin. And he called me and he was like, hey, he had helped me when I bought my house. I got denied my first loan. I called him. I said, yo, you're in the banking industry. Does this sound right? And he's like, nah, I got you. So we ended up, I buying the house with my mom. Going back to that story. So a couple of years later, he goes, "Oh, I want you to meet this guy named Ira. He's the boss. He's the owner of a mortgage bank." And he goes, he asked me about buying stuff in the Bronx if I knew anybody. And I told him that he talked to you. He needs to go to you. So I'm like, okay. Again, I don't know anything. I'm still liquor business. I haven't done any loans. I don't do real estate yet. This is prior. This is 03, 04. So he comes down to meet me and he explains to me about real estate speculation where you buy a building for a certain price, what he was going to pay me, which was like 6% of the purchase. And of course, this is kind of alien to me. I don't know this guy. I'm like kind of speculative. I'm like, all right, whatever. So we do one and I get paid. So now it's real. Then I do another one and I get paid. And then he tells me to come to his office to pick up my check because this is way before Zelle and Venmo and all these things that you guys know about. This is back early 2000s. We didn't have that. We had to go pick up checks. And so I go to his office and it's in Syosset, Long Island. And I go to the receptionist, say I want to speak to Ira. They say, oh, he's waiting for you. I go in, I pass the receptionist, I go to the right. There's a bullpen of people, about 100 people on the phone screaming. I look to the right hand side, there's this whiteboard with all these numbers, 150, 250, 350. And I go into his office, man. I'm like, hey, man, I'm here. And he's like, oh, good to see you. And some small talk. And then he was asking me what I make at the liquor store. At that time, I had a liquor store in a nightclub, which is good, but it was really a lot of hours, a lot of unpleasantries. Like you're dealing with drunk people all the time. You're dealing with, like, people they take it personal. You don't allow them into the club. They want to kill you. It's a thing. I didn't want it anymore.
Well, I gotta ask you. I mean, what makes a liquor store a good business to buy?
It's a cash business. It's very easy to control. So I was in 159 Third Avenue, which is like Fort Apache, the Bronx, which is the hood. So I was behind Bulletproof. So there's no way anything could go missing. So you're behind Bulletproof. It's very institutional, right? They put the money. I spin the spinner. I give them what they want. It's very like that. And this is before social media and all that. So the funniest thing about that, I had the liquor store across the street from a precinct, right? So I've always been creative. I don't know why. So I opened the second piece to my store that was kind of closed off. You couldn't see it. And this is back when like you would get like, I don't know if you remember this, like the satellite cable cards where you get the direct TV for free. Or is that a New York thing?
I might be too young.
Yeah, you're probably too young. Anyway, so satellite TV, anyway, you burn a card and you have all the channels, right? So you pay per view, all that shit, none of that exists. You can see anything you want, right? So I had this back room where I had like a cigar humidor, all the inventory, a big TV and chairs, and the cops would hang out there during their work hours in uniform, drinking alcohol, smoking cigars. So I was super safe, right? So that's kind of like what I've always created. I don't even know how we got there. So yeah, so that's why it was a good investment for me. But the margins are 25 and 40%. So I didn't start with millions of dollars. I started with whatever credit they gave me. I've said the story on other podcasts. And so it was kind of like behind the eight ball. I was like always kind of like just making enough, and it was kind of frustrating.
You didn't
So
want to break your back no more.
50
Restocking stuff
100
like that.
boxes, deliveries, bro, and then like it was just it's a young man's game. It was cool. I was 25, right? I was self-employed at 25. I was doing my thing. I thought I was cool. But I couldn't see myself at 60 in there, man. I couldn't see myself like you see these older guys. I'm like, nah, especially where I was at. It was like the hood. It was very aggressive. That's the word I use. It was very aggressive. Everything was aggressive. Even in front of the precinct, everything was aggressive. So you had to be head on a swivel. It was crazy. So anyway, I go to him and he's like, hey, how much do you make at the store? So I was like, I make about 110, which was decent money at the time. He's like, guys here are making that a month. And I asked him the question about those numbers. I'm like, that 150, 250. He's like, those guys are making that a month. So that just threw up the dollar signs in my eyes. I was like, word? He was like, yeah. He was like, look, you speak Spanish and English. You good with people. We've done business. I trust you. Come in and see if you want to do this. And I went like the next day. I hired somebody to be at the store. I gave it a 3-month run. In 3 months, I made 90,000. Of course, it was W-2, which is a little different, but I wasn't busting my back. Wasn't dealing with people throwing up. I was dealing with fights. I was actually able to take my kids to do like baseball, like actually have a life with my family, which is another thing altogether. And that's why I took the plunge, man. I just sold everything. I didn't have like a big exit. I just sold, liquidated everything. And I left and I just started down at the mortgage bank.
Now, why do you think real estate is still one of the like best ways to build wealth?
I mean, to get into a tax thing, I mean, so as a W-2 employee, you get taxed on all your earnings, right? As a 1099 or a self-employed person like me, I own my own companies, we get our money. Now, the big response, like, I don't want to make it sound a little sexy. The hard part is that you have to be like disciplined with your money. You have to money for taxes, for FICA, for health insurance. But if you're smart enough and you make enough, then you'll always have more. And then remember, there's the write-off game. Like, like having a car, you can write your car off. Like it becomes that game. So that's why I really got into that industry because I figured I could do more with my money. And then going back to real estate, there's a couple of ways you make money with it. You buy a property and you get more money in rents than you get in expenses. You get what's called cash flow, right? So every month you get a little check, whatever it is. Then you have depreciation, which is a tax shelter. So if I'm making a lot of money in my real estate transactions, I can shelter the income through depreciation by buildings, right? So they're totally legal. It's just you got to be educated how to do it, right? And then you have appreciation, the assets going up. Now the big thing that most people don't know is that you when you're borrowing or refinancing your properties, those are not taxable events. You're borrowing money against your asset. So going back to the 21 unit, like that property is worth 4 million. Let's say me and my boys will want to pull out 3 million. Let's say 3 million. We could each net out 1.25, put it in our pocket, buy another building if we want, and set the whole domino effect. Of course, it takes discipline, it takes education, but there's a way to play this game, right? There's a way to play the game if you're smart. But the one thing I want to say before we get too far ahead of it is that it's never like everybody's talking about that passive income shit. Yeah. Passive income is after you have a really nice nest egg for the football field turning into a hockey rink, for the storms that will come, expenses that you will not know about. You might have to take months off. Like, personal story. I lost my mother 2 years ago, but I was a caretaker for 8 years. Those 8 years, I was in peak Omar. I was just trying to hang on because that was the most important thing to me, right? So I'm like, I got to make enough to make sure everybody's good, but my head wasn't like there. It was like there was like I think about it now with clarity. At the moment, I thought I was fine, right? Because you're just walking through this traumatic event in your life, seeing somebody that that you love with all your heart just withering away, and you're like just trying to kind of keep yourself from falling apart. So yeah, you have to be in it so that you can discipline yourself to have these things ready in case of. And if they never come, great. You won, bro. Like you have extra. If they come, then you have your little situation where you can balance yourself out. Most people, and it takes a lot of bandwidth and a lot of creativity and intelligence. And intelligence, I don't mean to say you have to go to college for it, but if you're buying a building, you got to know how to use it. What are we doing it for? Like, it's not because I want to sound cool. It's because how do I use this to maximize my life? And that takes work, man. A lot of people, they think once you get shit, like you're there. You're never there. You're never there. When they were about to cut off, I don't know if you remember this with Trump, when he was going to cut off the Medicaid, right? Or the food stamps. I'm driving to my office in the Bronx, I see people around the corner, the pantries, bro. And I'm like, yo, I wish I had an extra couple hundred. My dream at that moment, just so you know, it was like, yo, I'd love to go over here, but yo, let's go to Sumar, guys. Everybody gets $500. Go buy what you want. Like that to me is the dream, right? Like I wanna do stuff like that. So I gotta hustle. I gotta hustle because I still pursue those things every day.
And the hustle is never ending.
No,
It just
because
it
you
keeps
evolve.
going. I mean, especially with you. I mean, you built this business, and I want you to unpack a little bit more because the beginning stages, a lot of people get scared or they get shaken out. I mean, for someone just starting, what's the easiest thing they can do today in real estate?
Be an agent. They do it part-time. Um, but here's the key, right? The key is this, and this is almost like contradictory. The key is you have to work for your client based upon what's best for your client at all times. And that might be counterintuitive to getting a check. You might have to tell your client this is not a good deal, or this is a good deal, right? But you have to have that North Star. And in the beginning, when you don't have any money, that's what people lose it. They lose their integrity because they're just, and I listen, we've all been there. Like when I first started, I'm like, I don't know, I'm fucking pay for anything. But you wake up every day and you go keep moving forward. And so the easiest way to start is to start, right? Sounds rhetorical. But the harder part is to do it for a sustained amount of time with no result, right? So I didn't make any money this month. All right, but what did you do? Did you work on your marketing? Did you work on building relate? Like there's intangibles, right? And as a business owner, you work in your business and you work on your business. In the beginning, you don't have any business. So you're working on your business all the time with no fucking money coming in, right? And that's the part where people get it fucked up. They're like, oh, this didn't work. No, no, no. It works. It just takes time. You have to be aggressively patient. And what that means is you're not being stagnant. You're not just waiting for shit to happen. You got to keep pushing every day. Look, man, I check myself every day because I'm like, sometimes, I'm working with attorneys, realtors. I'm working with like 17 different people on a transaction. And if there's a weak person on the team, it shows, right? And then you have to be, if you're a strong player, you got to be like, you got to learn how to maneuver or manage that person. You can't be on some lose your shit, or in New York, we call it crash out all the time, right? You got to be on some like, this is how we do it. Listen, guy, I don't know what's your problem. I've had this conversation a few times today, for example. But it's part of the game, man. So the key is to overcompensate at all times. And I know it sounds like a lot of shit, and it is. But if you want to do something big, you should expect it to be big. It shouldn't be like, if you want to, just get by, you can get by. That's cool too. It's really whatever you want because some people aren't built for that. But you have to be honest with yourself. It's hard to look in the mirror sometimes and be like, nah, it's not for me. Like when I changed from liquor and the nightclubs to the banks, I knew that wasn't for me no more. I remember one time going to the store, I'm like, yo, I feel like it's a prison almost, right? Like I'm like, nah, this can't be it. Like, and luckily I was young enough and also fearless. Like, yo, I'm changing. My wife was like, what? She had a job and she had to hold me down for a couple of months, like almost like a year till I got consistent. And then it changed. But I'm lucky to have a good spouse where she always she might not agree initially because she's very conservative compared to me being very aggressive. But she lets me pursue it because she knows when I pursue it, it's not me just saying I'm doing it. She's like, I know you're gonna go beast mode and figure it out. So it's good to have a spouse that compliments you and has confidence in you because sometimes you have questions, you question yourself. You're like, am I bugging out? Am I thinking too big? And that everybody talks about imposter syndrome. It's just insecurity, right? It's just insecurity. Like you gotta be confident. If I fall on my face tomorrow, I'm okay, Matt. I'm gonna get up and figure something out. But see, the thing is, I don't care. I don't sit there, and this is where people like when you just said kind of triggered this thought. People are scared of what people are gonna say. It does not matter because if you're a player on the playing field, I salute you. If you understand, you can live forever on the stand, but you'll never know what it's like to be a player. Like I play sports competitively on purpose because I love that. I love competition. It's just part of my nature. And I'm just not built to look and critique. I'm built to participate. I want to participate in this thing called life, right?
Yeah, what's one way someone can like make clear decisions in money in life?
One way to make decisions, you can make money any way. You can get a job, you can do your own thing. That's fine. But the thing is, the hardest part, I believe, is that you have to be accountable to yourself. Meaning, I wake up at 4 a.m. Let me say this. This is the latest podcast I've ever done. So you can put that on the on the screenshot, right? Or watched it
Yeah.
up late. But I'm usually crashing in bed like 9 o'clock. I'm kind of seeing blurry already. But you hit me. I said, let's do it. We're doing it. But I get up before 4 a.m. with nobody telling me to. It's in my count. It's in my thing. It's just my program. Why do I get up for him to train? Because I like that. It anchors me. But I'm self-employed, bro. I know at 8 a.m. the world wakes up, and then I'm not gonna have my me time, right? So instead of saying, "Yo, I can't work out," I just say, "All right, man. Let me shift my stuff a little earlier, so I have my time." And then when I'm at 8 a.m., I know I'm the world. I'm with the world, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready to do whatever combat we have to do. I use hand-to-hand combat as a metaphor all the time. Like whatever we got to get done, we get it done. And then when you're working, just to go further into that statement, be really working, not doom scrolling, not this, like I'm on face. Nah. And this is from a guy who goes on social media heavy. So when I go, I post and I'm out because I'm there with a purpose. I'm not there to see what everybody may. Sometimes once in a while, like people comment, you want to engage, but you have to be disciplined. Bro. It all comes down to discipline because as things get easier, we become victims of convenience and even like training, like working out. I bodybuild. Um, I come from I don't know if you ever seen my thing with Mr. America with Butch. Like when I grew up, I worked at a gym at 16. I worked out with Mr. America. These guys are fucking crazy, but I didn't know any better. I was like, all right, we got another 500 pounds. I'm breaking my back. I'm doing it. But then I went out with my regular friends and I'm like, what you guys doing? Like, really? You playing around these 50 pounders? Like, what we doing? Like, but it just goes to the association of who you're around, right? If you're around great people or people that really specialize in shit, then you fit and you pick up their culture. You become that, right? It's like I play basketball. I don't want to play people worse than me. I want to play people better than me. I'm not going to win, but I'm going to get better because I'm going to try to win, right? That's just my concept. A lot of people going back to. I feel that this new generation is they're so scared, but there's nothing to be scared of.
That reminds me, I play basketball as well, and I
Okay,
love
Access,
basketball.
Michigan.
Yeah, I love it because of the teamwork, the training, and like the pressure that's involved into it. I mean, what part of basketball helped you the most in business?
What do I love? It's competition, right? It's competition. No one, like certain teams, you play certain parts, right? I got to rebound, or I got to be the physical guy, or once in a while, I got to be the number one option, right? If everybody else is having a shit day, you got to step up and figure it out. I'm not saying I'm a greatest ball player, but I give 100%. And so the one thing about team sports is that, and listen, side note, I've done a lot of transactions out of my run, my basketball run. These are all guys kind of like there's some younger guys from 20-year-olds to like 60-year-olds, but all professionals. And there's a lot of business because we have that camaraderie and people want to work with people they know, like, and trust. Right. So that's just a side effect, right? Like I'm telling you, like people like, oh, how do you always get some business? Because I'm a good person, but secondly, when they're not looking to me to do their loan. The guys from the court, they know me as, oh, this guy, yo, he'll play with anybody. Like you have guys that I always play with these guys. Now, anybody I'm put together with for 5, we're gonna try to win. Let's go. And that bleeds into my relationships with them outside the court. They're like, yo, my uncle, he just got a lawsuit. He wants to talk to you. Like it becomes that because they believe in you, right? They see how you are. They're not seeing you preach. They see you physically and mentally how you are. You can't fake that. And what I love about playing sports is that it really forces you to lock in, bro. Like you can't, there's no, like you see people on the treadmill, on their phone, like, nah. If you're trying to win, bro, you're in this game, in the 4 lines, and you're trying to go for however long it goes. And if you lose, but you want to get back on, it becomes that. So yeah, it helps you lock in and focus. I think sports for me, as long as you build yourself positively, meaning, you know, if you had a shit game, you had a shit game, be accountable and just move on. But don't start there and blame other people. That's the bullshit, right? That's most of the guys on the court. They're like, oh, if you would have passed me that one ball, like stop, bro. Like we tried, we lost. It is what it is.
Yeah, you have something on your Instagram page about basketball, how like they have to beat me. Like
Yeah,
it's pretty
they
good.
got. I'm never gonna let somebody win. I don't care, Michael, and I love Michael Jordan. I'm gonna let Michael Jordan guy. If he said, "Yo, I'm gonna play you," I'm like, "All right, let's go." Like, I'm pretty sure he's gonna beat the shit out of me, but he gotta beat me. Yeah, I'm not gonna let you win. I don't even care if you're my like idol. If we go into those 4 lines, we got to go. It's almost like warrior mentality, right? And you can only talk to people that compete for them to understand. Like some people see us like, I don't know if it gets a little spicy in your run. Yo, we curse that it becomes crazy, right? But then as soon as you're off, yo, brother, I love it. Like and people from the outside, like, yeah, crazy. Like Even my wife, she's like, "I saw you guys." I'm like, "But that's what it is. It's just, it's men be men, and at the end, it's all love. But we want to win, right? Not at the cost of anyone else, but we want to win, and that's just an expression of it.
And, your book will be in the description down below, but, what is one takeaway you want young people to learn from your book?
I think everybody thinks they know what hard money is, but I did 4 or 5 different examples of transactions I've really done to give them outlines of how that really works. Like, for example, I was talking about phantom mortgages, right? People are like, "Oh, it's a phantom mortgage." Like, well, hard money is not a traditional qualified mortgage, so it doesn't go on your credit report. So you can have a kabillion hard money loans, nobody will ever know, right? Like that becomes the thing. And so if you have to pick up something at a steep discount, like we have an example, I'm doing a buyout right now of a family member. They have the house in Brooklyn. It's being foreclosed on. Everybody lives out of state. Nobody wants to pay the taxes or mortgages, but everybody wants to lay claim to their inheritance. So I had a conference call with them. I said, "Hey guys, listen. So in about 30 days, there'll be nothing to talk about." I told them, the attorney, I said, "Because you won't have a house. It's going to be foreclosed. They're going to take it, repossess it." I was like, "If one of you is more financially stable, then take a loan, pay everybody off. If you want, I can guide you if you want to upgrade it, because it's a grandma's house. It has a lot of dilapidation, but you can upgrade it. We can market it. We can sell it at full market value and you make a spread, or you can refinance it. You want to keep it to rent it. I can show you, like, giving them the options, because most people don't know their options. And when you get financial pressure, you don't see straight anymore. You're like, "Oh, we're going to lose it. What are we going to do? Oh my God." And most people actually don't want to deal with it. They just kind of like try to ignore it. Right. And I'm like, "No, look, there's an opportunity here for you to make money or not, on whatever you want, but I'm going to talk to them straight." And so it doesn't have a foreclosure bailout, meaning there's no income, there's no credit FICO minimums, there's nothing. It's just whatever the property is worth, we'll lend you 70%, and you'll have 12 to 18 months to pay us back. But usually if you get with a good lender like me, what's the plan? What are we trying to do? Are we trying to sell it? So what do we so boom, this is what the budget looks like. And this is what your perspective would look like in terms of the full value. And this is what you would make net. You're like, that's a good coach, a good lender that will put you on and give you your options. Where another guy be like, "Oh, here's the money and go crazy." Like, one of my clients called me, she goes, I want to get the loan." I was like, "Did you get the contractor yet?" She goes, "What do you mean?" "I know the house. You want to rehab the whole house. You need contractor estimates, because once we lend you the money, the clock is running." Right? You got to pay it back, and it's high interest. So you have to line up your contract. You have to line everything up, get the spread. I broke it down for her. She was like, "Well, thank you. Nobody ever told me that." I was like, "You're gonna get high interest money, so you got to know what to use it for, and it's not a lot of time. You got to get in and out." So like, that's the part that most people don't understand. They think it's easy money, but it's not long term money. It's quick money. So you have to be strategic. You got to be ready. Right? So that's the thing that most people have to understand, that it's not a long-term solution, it's a short-term solution, but you have to have what they call your exit planned out. You have to know how you're getting out of it before you get in.
I want to go back to how you get in. I mean, what's the easiest way someone can know if they're qualified for like a hard money loan?
Hard money has nothing to do with you personally or financially. It's all based on the building. So as long as
Okay.
you have equity, you're approved, right? If you own the house and you have equity, like you don't owe any money on it, you're approved. If you're buying a house, then you need at least 20. If you're first time fix and flipper, like a guy who's trying to buy it, fix and sell it, you need 25%. But if you do 2 or 3 in a row and exit successfully, we'll lower that to 10%, and we'll lend you 100% of the rehab money. So it becomes very lucrative, but going back to knowing what you're doing and proving to your lender that you know what you're doing. Because we don't, like, people say, "Oh, he's going to take the house." Nobody wants to take the house. We just want to get paid back. Nobody, nobody in New York City is very hard to foreclose. It becomes a thing. You don't want to do it. But unfortunately, it's been done a couple of times because they don't respect it. They just think they can keep negotiating, or they start lying, or they didn't use the money for what they were supposed to use it for. They pull out new cars. I'm like, "What are we doing?" Like, like that you have to be going back to being disciplined and financially responsible.
Now, Omar, can you break this down? You said, every deal needs like an exit strategy.
Yes.
What's the easiest one for a beginner?
A sale, if you're buying something at, like, say, I'm just gonna use numbers, 100,000, and if you fix it by putting, like, let's say $30,000 into it, but you could sell it for like 200,000, right? You're gonna pay a realtor, you're gonna pay a few things, you pay transfer taxes, so you probably make 40, 50,000 off that deal. That's easy, right? On a smaller scale. On a bigger scale, if you want to buy a property, fix it, and then rent it, you gotta have the rental market, line that up, and then have a realtor ready with tenants. So it takes more work, but you can then refinance it to what we call a DSCR loan, 30-year fixed, self-liquidating, meaning you pay, and the end of 30 years is paid off. And you can hold that and then get the cash flow, get the rents, pay off the mortgage, and the difference is what you keep. So those are two major exits that people use.
Okay, that's interesting. Can you tell me more? I mean, I just want to help out the listeners as much as possible. I mean, you know, yeah, can you just tell me a little bit more?
Mm. To identify a property that is undervalued. And the reason it's undervalued is because nobody's been taking care of it, or it's in a bad neighborhood, that a neighborhood's up and coming, maybe that's not ready, is not hot yet, but it's gonna get hot. You can pick up a property for like, I'm just using numbers again, like at a below market value. Then you go in there with a contractor, and this is the important part for guys who are trying to do flips. Going with a contractor that you're gonna use. Don't be the guy that says I'm gonna do everything myself. It's not gonna work that way. Go with a contract, get real numbers. All right, what's the kitchen cost me? What's this cost me? What's that cost me? Then do your budget and what we call a scope of work, right? This is what it's going to cost to fix everything. Take that number, take your buy number, and take what your estimated sale number is going to be. Those are the three numbers that you care about, because there has to be enough spread within those numbers to make financial sense for you. So it sounds like a lot, but it's not. Once you kind of identify a property, know what you're going to pay for it, get a GC, do the walkthrough, and be like, hey, how much is it going to cost me? All right, get your numbers. And it's never as bad as you think it is. And then speak to your local realtor, be like, how much is it going to cost? How much can I sell this for? Max value, right? And then with those three numbers, you'll be able to look at it, as long as the differences or have enough spread, if it makes sense. I
You
mean,
know,
that's the easiest way I can kind of like explain it, right?
no, it makes perfect sense if you connect all the dots with it and you actually take, initiative to go towards doing this.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of research. Do your own research. That's what I tell everyone at
Yeah.
the end of the day if they want to jump into anything like that. But there's professionals like you out there. You can just watch some of your content
Yeah.
and
And
they'll help you
Michigan
out.
is pretty hot right now. People are down there. People
With
are down
you
there.
doing all this, with all your years of experience,
Mhm.
what's the future in real estate for the next 10 years look like?
People always need somewhere to live, bro. It becomes that. Like, hot market, cold market, any market. People, there's a certain pocket of America, and I think it's extreme, right? It's let's say below 300,000 and above 1.5, 2 million. Those two extremes are always gonna move. Always. People, because it's attainable, and certain people at certain financial scenarios, they're not affected by the day to day. The stock market, they don't care. They don't care. It's in the middle, the vertical climbers that you saw during COVID, or I don't know, how old are you?
I'm 27.
Oh, so you're young. So, but you were like 23, 24. Everybody was
Yeah, around
buying.
there.
Everybody was buying. Everybody was buying because interest rates are low. So their income went farther. So if you notice that a lot of people going from 250 to 350, they were all kind of affording that. Now we have a lot of people, what we call landlocked or house locked, where they can't afford to go bigger because interest rates are up, and they don't want to leave their 1.9% interest rate because they love it. It's free. So you have a lot of people there. You have a lot of people there. So I think that thing that global crisis sparked a housing renaissance, and I think it's coming back. This year was low, but I see a lot of indicators that next year is going to start moving again. They're lowering the Fed, if you know what that means, the interest rates, but I don't think they're going to move more than a quarter, which is not much. After the new year, I think we'll hear some new stuff where they're going to lower maybe another half, and that'll be enough to kind of get people off the fence and start moving again.
Okay, so we I mean, 10 years is kinda out there, when I asked you that. I was like, "Maybe not 10 years,
No,
maybe
but
like
it's
a
all cycles.
five-year."
10-year cycles is all the It's always, listen, people always want to buy. What would I have told myself in 1997 when I had a few dollars, or before I opened the liquor store? Maybe I would bought a house, because houses back then, bro, 250, 300, like really attainable. And when we bought the house in 04, 05, I remember it was 369. I offered 360. They took the offer. Then I ended up selling that 5 years ago for 750. So, I mean, like, I'm not just talking about it. I'm a practitioner. I'm like, wow, that shit fucking work. Right. Like I've done it. I'm like, wow, it's almost like a super savings account. quality of life. You're living there. You raise your family there, but you outgrow. And then what's going to happen now? I live somewhere else in a house off a golf course. What'll happen when my kids move out? Maybe me and wifey get a little condo penthouse. With I don't want to. Not that I cut my own grass anyway, but yeah, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with snow. I just want to come outside, go to my car, and get out of there. Like you get to that point. So different parts of your life, you're gonna want different things, right?
Yeah, 100% on that one. What's one of those money lessons you wish schools would teach?
Um, I think real estate because everybody really wants to. I think everybody should control where they live if they can. It's important. It's important because you take a pride in it. It's different as a renter, and even neighborhoods, right? Renting neighborhoods are very different than ownership neighborhoods, right? Like I was in the Bronx. I owned my own property, but a lot of people were renting on that neighborhood. So there was like more trash and it was like now that I live where I live now in Westchester, it's a little more less populated. So when I go to the Bronx now, I get like shell shock because all the people. Because now it's crazy in the boroughs. They got the. Do you have this in Michigan? The eco scooters, the little
Yes.
electric scooters,
Yes, we
bro.
do.
Manhattan, somebody get killed out there. Like you drive, like oh shit, like people are just jetting by, bro. It's crazy. But it's the amount of people in the space. Like I'm not used to that anymore, which is pretty crazy. Meaning I grew up with it, and now I'm like, oh, it's crazy. But when I was young, I wanted to live in Manhattan. When I went to school at NYU in Greenwich Village, I loved it. Now I'm like, yo, I'll go visit. I don't want to be there. You hear too much. You're not used to hearing like you like in an apartment building, you hear your neighbors. Like I can't do that anymore. I've graduated that's when I was young. You hear everybody arguing on floor upstairs, downstairs, on the sides, or hitting on the wall. The old lady making too much noise, she's hitting the ceiling. It's crazy. So I've graduated that. So yeah, like now it's like too much. I think the term is called stimulation. Like you're like, nah, man, I'm good. I'm good. I'm chilling. I'm chilling. So yeah. The different parts of your life will dictate where you want to live, right? The guy I bought the house from in Westchester, he's older. He was older. He was a helicopter engineer. His wife was a psychotherapist. They bought the house originally, and their two sons went to college. Their sons both never came back. One got married, moved to Italy with his wife. The other one went to California with his other wife. So they never came home. So the house was half used. The kids that were in college never used the house. And so he wanted to move back to the city. Cause he told me, he's an older guy. He's like, yo, I feel like I'm kind of getting stagnant. It's me and the wife. He told me on the side, right? He's like, it's me and the wifey, like, he's like, I'm kind of bored out here. So I go to the city, at least I go downstairs, get some coffee, and going back to different parts of your life, right? You're going to want different things. So always be aware of that because there's not one size fits all remedy for everybody. Because depending where you are here and mentally and chronologically also will depend on where you want to be surrounded by. So when I was young, I was like, yo, the city's popping. I want to be there. And I did some time there. I studied in dorms a little bit. But now I'm like, nah, man, I'm good. I'll go visit. I'll come back home. I don't want to deal with that. But that might change later. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, only time will tell on that one.
Right.
What does something like generational wealth mean to you? And what's the biggest deal you ever done?
Biggest deal I've ever done so far is 10 million, Hampton's house. Generational wealth to me is actually a great question because I didn't grow up with anything, so I didn't even know what that fucking meant. But back to that, right? So I got the apartment buildings, I got a commercial building in the Bronx, got the house. Now you have to secure it, right? And what do I mean by that? I mean life insurance policies. It becomes being now. This is again. Talking from you're hearing this from a guy who buried both his parents, who left nothing. Like I had to find the money to bury them. But my boys and my wife, like you don't want to leave them with a burden, right? I was the one with the big thinking and all that stuff. So now I'm like, all right, so how do I secure this? And it might sound a little dark talking like this, but it's not. It's just estate planning, man. It's just planning. Like, yo, if because see my mom go through what she went through. Here's a woman who worked her whole life, wanted to her whole plan was to retire to enjoy her life. That was it, right? So she retires at 65 or 66, 66, I think. Has a stroke at 67. Didn't really, and then dies at 72. Like it was the shittiest. It's my mother, so I can say it was the shittiest story ever. Like, what a way to fucking go out, right? So now I'm like, well, I try to blend in. because you're in a high pressure business, so you're a little stressed, but you try to enjoy it also, but also leave plans in case. Like, I don't want to leave my boys like that. And they don't like when I talk like that. I was like, it's not gonna happen tomorrow, but I'd be irresponsible if I didn't leave a plan for you guys, because these are all my thoughts. These are all like, this is all me, my relationships, going back to all that. I want to leave you with a just in case, right? I don't expect it to happen. I train, I eat right, I do a lot of things to try to maintain myself. I was like, but it'd be like fiscally irresponsible for me to not have a plan in place for you. So having things is good, but then now you have to secure those things. How do you secure with insurance? And then another thing is burn ratios, right? Like burn ratios, like you asked me what they should teach people in school. You should teach people that it costs a certain amount of money to live. You know what I mean? And you gotta like budget that. Like, yo, I spend, I'm just using an arbitrary number, $5,000 a month to live. So I should have $30,000 on the side just in case. Not that you probably ever tap into it, or maybe you do, but it helps your mind too, because you're more at ease. So growing up where I grew up, very poor, she was never at ease. She was always, everything was scary. Like God forbid, she got a dental bill. It was, how are we doing this? So I took those lessons to heart, and not to say that I'm where I want to be, but I'm pretty from where I came. My mother used to carry water on her head to the house in Puerto Rico to take a shower. To where I dragged her with me when we bought the house a lot. We're kind of rich, right? That was rich, right? So then I can't wait to see what my boys kind of do on their levels, and try to no pressure, but I'd like to see them develop into, because they're all amazing to me. They're my sons. They're all amazing, and they're very they're not competitive, but they see the man who I am, and they see me in action in the wild, maybe, and they then take that like, yo, I gotta be like that. It's not like me saying don't do that, or do this. Why do the exact opposite? It's like, this is what I do. And so like those are the most impressionable moments, like with them when they come back and quote something on Instagram from you, like you'll be like, oh shit, wow, they're listening, right? They'll never explain it. It'll always come out the weirdest time. You're like, oh wow, he's listening. That's great. So yeah, yeah. I didn't even know what the question was there. I just kind of went
Well,
on one
you're a hardworking man. I know that for a fact. And, they don't teach money in school. You had to learn this
the
the
hard way.
hard way.
Yeah. And I'm still learning, Yeah, yeah. We have I'm redoing the building in the Bronx, and it costs money. It costs money, and then it's your time. Like you got to be on top of people, and sometimes you don't feel like it, but it doesn't get done if you don't do it, right?
You remind me of
That's
that one
that's a bar
song.
right there. That's a
No,
bar.
you remind me of that one song. What is it? Like, I started from the bottom, now I'm here.
Oh yeah, Drake. Yeah, Drake. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
mean, it's really powerful, like your come up story and how you became who you are today.
Yeah.
Um, I really want to ask you about your media company. I mean, what's the power behind the media company?
Well, the power behind the media company is people to know what you're doing while you're actually doing the work, right? That's the whole thing. So people hit me up all the time. Oh, I saw you here. I saw you there. What they don't understand is they saw me yesterday, because I'm here. Like I'm at my desk right now. You see me in the picture behind me. I'm at my desk, but if you go to my Instagram, you'll see something else. My stories, you'll see something else, and that's all by design. It's to stay relevant. It's to be inspirational. To let people know you're there, because there is no way I could call everybody in my phone every day and tell them, "Hey, man, I do mortgages, I sell real estate." But they'll see me doing a deal and they'll associate it. They'll go, "Oh, I got a question for you. What about this? What about that? What about?" And even if you're moving, if your friends are loyal, you're actually moving the needle, right? Like if you're doing your podcast, I don't know if your friends are doing podcasts and stuff like that, but they in the beginning, they're like, "Oh man, that's crazy," and then later, they're like, "Yo, that shit's dope," right? And then, "Yo, how do I get on?" It's just what it is, man. So you have to have the wherewithal and your own confidence to know, yo, this is what I do. This is my guiding light. This is what I want to do. It can't be for anybody watching. Yo, this is what I want to do. And then people eventually see you in that light. But yeah, it becomes that, man. Like people are like, oh, how'd you do this? I was like, I could break it down. I could break it down exactly. That's how I did it. And they're like, oh, it seems like a lot of work. I was like, because it is, because it is. But when you love what you're doing, or you have a purpose, you don't think about those things. Going back to working out 4 in the morning, right? Besides looking good, I want to be there for my family, right? Especially when I dealt with my mother. So it's my absolute fucking responsibility, right? Like my youngest son is 21. Like I lost my father at 18. So like I want him to, like he has 3 more years than I had already. So it becomes that like you want to, and one thing I learned, man, back when I first started, and me and my wife argued about this all the time. She was like, "Yo, it's not all about the money, but when you don't have any money, you're like, yo, I need money. It becomes a thing." And then what I started to realize too is that it's a hybrid. It becomes a part. Money gives you the ability to think and gives you options, right? But it does not replace the person. Like if you're making an impact on your kids, bro, doing cool things is cool. Like I've said this before, having toys is cool. But having those conversations and having those memories, that's everything. That's everything, bro. How many really rich guys do I know that, everything has a price, right? That forgot they foregone their wife or their kid, they kind of neglected them. Then they come back 15 years later. Hey, I'm here. And they're like, yo, where were you 15 years ago? Like it becomes that. So that becomes a special fucking balance that I want the everybody to know. Like, yo, don't put it on a pedestal. It's a goal and if it keeps you moving, dope. But your memories are all we're gonna have. When we leave this earth, bro, we're not taking no Bentleys with us, with no gold watches, no. We leave them by ourselves. So whatever memories we make is it. That's the sum of our lives, right? So that's what I've learned now at this phase of my life. So I do get it, but I include them. Like if you watch my content, my wife works for me now, and my son is with me now. So now I want them to be included, right? And it's cool. It's hard and it's easy. It's easy because they're family. It's hard because sometimes you have to learn how to behave in different paradigms. Like I'm not the husband, I'm the CEO. I'm like it becomes that, and it's hard. It's not easy, but why not do it with people you love, right?
100%. And something I learned from you is you posted something on your story, your IG story,
Mhm.
and you're just talking, you're just saying, I'm really just talking to myself.
All
And
the time.
if it resonates with you, it hits you too, but I'm really talking to myself. Can you dive into that a little bit?
So listen, everybody talks about negative thinking and positive thinking, and it's a thing. It's a thing. Sometimes I post things that I'm talking to myself about. Like I had this one I said yesterday. I thought about it, I had to write it down. I was like, I can't remember it off the top of my head. It was more like, oh, work, work now, work on your obligations now so you can now have options later. That was a conversation I was having with my kid. I was like, hey man, listen, I know you don't like this, but you gotta do it now. You gotta do it now. And then when you build yourself to a point, you do what the fuck you want. I was like, but you gotta learn how to do the shit now. And because it's bigger than just school. It's really just having the discipline to do something you don't really want to do today and doing it. And it's not a big deal. It shouldn't crush your life. Like, oh man, I have to go to school. Oh, it's so hard, right? Like, come on, you gotta listen. What we do, I'm not telling you break bricks. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I
Yeah.
did it. So the problem with my kids is they can't argue with me because I did it. I did everything I'm telling you. I've done it. It's not like I'm not a firstborn immigrant generation. Like, oh, you should do that. I'm telling you, I did that. Yeah, I know it sucks. I know. I had a baby at 19. I know. I know. You want to talk pressure? I had grandma. I'm like, just fucking do it, bro. Like you talking to me now. And so, yeah, that's the great part where they know that I've done everything I'm asking them to do.
And that's the beauty of it because, you've been through it all. You've seen it. So you want to just lead them on the journey, basically.
Yes. My youngest son told me one time, he was like, you know what, Dad, I'm sorry, because if we have a disagreement, I'll point out my degree. I'm like, yo, I got the highest degree in this house, so we got to go my idea. So he's like, well, I'm gonna have more. He wants to get his PhD now. And he wants to get his PhD because he wants to be able to tell me I got the highest degree, which whatever motivates you, bro, if that's what triggers you, do your thing, bro. But it was so funny when he told me that. He's like, I'm gonna get my PhD, so you can't tell me that anymore. I was like, then do it. Then do it. It's a motivator, right?
Yep.
If beating me in an argument is your motivation, then do it. Then do it. I love it.
I love that too, because if you need something like that to motivate you, the discipline behind it will come,
Yes.
because motivation will only get you so far. But it's the
Correct.
discipline, like you're saying, every single day, even when you don't want to go to the gym, even if you don't want to hop on a podcast, even if you don't want to show up for selling a house or something like that. Hey, you're going to show up either way because you got to.
Yeah,
No
it's a
option.
job. It's a job, man, and it becomes a thing of. It doesn't have to sound so bad, but rather like people that they're like, oh, Omar, like, I can't deadlift 500 pounds. I'm just using an arbitrary number or whatever. I'm like, yo, bro, it doesn't matter. As long as you get up and move, moments create momentum. Right. So like there are days that I feel like, we got to adjust this workout a little bit. We're gonna go for squeezing and you can change the technique up, whatever you got to trick yourself into going, because once you start moving, everything is easier. You're like, oh, okay, all right. And then you start moving, right? Moments become momentum. You got to find your momentum, but you got to break the inertia of that first step. And that's where most people, like, going back to what you said, like, how do people start? By starting. Just gotta go. Just gotta go. I mean, figure it out, man. Look, there's I'm on this side of 50 now, right? So I'll say this. I would rather fail and know I failed than die wondering, because I think that's the worst. No, I could have. I could have. I've had little things in my life as a young person where I was like, I wanted to say something and I didn't, and it fucked for me for a long time. It was like, damn. And I'm talking about little things. So imagine a big thing. Imagine a big thing. It'll eat away at you, bro. So yeah, I'm a big proponent, man. Just go, just try, and failing is part of it. You can't win if you don't fail.
Yeah.
It's binary, bro. Like, either you're gonna win or lose, and if you lose, get up and try to win again. Eventually, that one win outweighs a million losses. Sorry.
No, I love it because I resonate with that because it's all about the journey, not the destination, but the personal development throughout the journey that really makes the biggest difference out
And
of all of it,
the losses
you
make
know?
you who you are. You got to become a certain person to win. Don't you, like, I'm saying? Like, you got to become a certain person. Like, I've had conversations where I was not ready. I've sat with billion-dollar people and I'm like, I may have said something that may have not made it what it could have been, but I just wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. So I didn't give up. I just kept getting ready, getting ready, getting ready. And now, most of the time, I feel I'm very ready for any conversation, right? But do I sit there and be like, oh, I fucked up that one deal in 1985? Nah, you gotta learn, bro. As long as you learn, you're good. If you start like being crazy and just repeating the same mistake, then you gotta check that out. You gotta figure that out.
No, it was a buildup through those small actions to become who you are today. It's those small wins, it's the losses, it's the wins, it's everything to become who you are.
Yes.
Highly recommend anyone out there just hit record.
Yeah. Yeah, just go. Just go, man. Yeah, just go. Listen, I started doing my podcast and we'll have you on. I started my podcast because I'm a little older than you, so there was no representation. We had no Spanish people that speak like me, like can talk about the shit I talk about, who buy art and try. I'm like, yo, who you like? I asked my man, like, who do you think a one successful Spanish person? Not to say I'm just Spanish, but just he was like J Lo. I was like, that one person, like that one person. That's the one person you think of. I'm like, they got to be more of us, man. There's plenty of space. You know what I'm saying? There's plenty of space for all of us. I was like, but anyway, the reason I started getting on camera was simply to let people know that we exist. Because, not go another rabbit hole, but when I first started flying first class with my wife, I started, I'm 6'3", so the leg space was important to me. And we would get on the plane and, the beginning was like, oh, well, bull, I used to wear a Yankee hat, whatever. Oh, you play baseball? I'm like, nah, I thought it was funny in the beginning, but I'm like, man, yo, bro, I don't got to be an athlete. I remember going to the Nets game. I used to be on the wood, right? And the guy there, you MMA fighter? I was like, no, bro, I'm a CEO. Like, I don't gotta be an athlete. I don't like, not to say there's anything wrong with it, but we can be everything, bro. And that's the part. That's the part of unconscious bias that I'm trying to chip away at. Like, yo, we can be anything. Like, I can, like, I was talking to a friend of mine the other day. I was like, yo, I can speak to a scientist. One of my neighbors is a scientist. The other one's a Wall Street trader. They don't talk. I can talk with both of them. Like, I talk to both of them. Like, it's cool. Why not? Why not? Why can't we all just be good humans? But like, that's a deeper podcast about talking about, generations of seeing people a certain way and you being instructed by your parents, and that's a whole different mess. But anyway, I'm doing my little to my little part to try and change the narrative.
Yeah, and someone out there thinks you're dope.
Yeah,
Remember that always.
I like that. I like that. Yeah, I like that. That might be a bar. I might tag you on it.
You know, thank you. How tag me in it? I'm a songwriter myself, so
Okay.
we have a lot of similarities here. I'm a songwriter. Uh, and then I also do podcasting like I am a host here, and then I also do designing on the clothing brand too. So I'm a
Oh,
CEO of multiple hats as well as
look at
you.
you.
And
Okay. Okay.
what's your theme of your podcast?
Resilience, education. Uh, I just lost it. Resilience.
I
Real
think
with
I've seen
Omar. Right? Real with
it's
Omar. So
attitude and leverage.
yes, you knew it already. Yeah. So real with Omar. Resilience, education, attitude, and leverage. Right. So resilience. You have to be ready to go through some shit, which is whatever. Education, not just school, but if you want to do anything, you got to learn about. You can't just say I want to do it and not know how to do it. So you got to deep dive, and that could be learning from a mentor or going online. Like the biggest thing of this century is that there's so much information, but information without understanding is dangerous. So that's a whole different thing. Like if you don't understand what you're reading, is like, all right, during COVID, everybody was a scientist. Oh, it's not real. It's this. It's not, bro. Let the scientists be the scientists, right? Like you flunked out of ninth grade, bro. Get out the way. Get out. I'm not taking your advice, but that's the conversation we used to have. But anyway, education. Um, then what was the other one? Attitude.
Well, you have
Yeah,
attitude,
yeah,
but I love the education part
yeah.
because I always tell people do your own research.
Well, that or go to somebody you know, like, and trust to ask them questions, right? Because unfortunately, we're all in our own way, right? It's why do you get coaches? To see your blind spots. You know, and a coach can be anything, performance coach, a therapist, anything. It is so hard. And this is another deep dive, right? Intellectually, you're one person, emotionally, somebody else. And it's hard to see yourself emotionally. When you get emotionally destabilized, bro, shit changes. Like, and the most intelligent people, me included, like, we do some dumb shit, but that's the part you gotta be aware of, right? Um, Attitude, having the right attitude, man. Like having the right attitude of, like they say, right place at the right time. The right place and the right time, right place is always here. If you're ready for it, you can take advantage of it, right? You can take advantage of it. And leverage is your people, having good people, leveraging. And I don't mean that in a usurious way. I mean that in a way like, yo, you know that guy? Like you asked me about this guy, like you want my thing. I was on his podcast. He'll be like, oh, bet I'm doing it too. That's the leverage. Association, having good people, right? If I go into a room and I say somebody's name in a certain field, they'll be like, let him in. He's good, right? He's good. It becomes that, and that's all having good association and good energy, right? Like those four things are the things that brought me to where I'm at now, and I try to preach it because it's really that simple, but it's hard. Simple because they're very simple to understand. It's hard because it's hard to do every day. When you don't have a coach or somebody say, hey man, you should do that. Nah, it's those days when it's cold outside. This morning it was freezing in New York. I'm like, oh shit. Gotta get up, gotta go. Yeah, those are four components, man.
I love those four because like leverage for me is like building a solid foundation and then going off of it with your leverage that you make throughout the time you're doing stuff. Like the guest I've had on the show, or just building a workout routine or something like that, and just seeing people there you're gonna meet or something like that. The attitude always has to be there. I always say that no matter what, if no matter what, every time you smile will make you happier.
I
That's
like
just
that.
an attitude right there in itself. And then
Yeah.
education, I mean, a lot of people go, "Oh, you got lucky." But I mean, luck is just being prepared for the opportunity, and the opportunity is there all the time.
And be able to identify it, right?
You got to
You
educate
go.
yourself to see it.
You gotta see it. You gotta see the win. You gotta see the win. And seeing the win is hard. Seeing the win is hard because so many people want to look at other people and be like, oh, he's so lucky. Bro, the win is there. You gotta look for it. Even the L's are wins. You gotta, it's your mindset, man. It's your mindset. It's really that. Yeah, and you've had some pretty cool people on your podcast. I've seen that. I was scrolling
Yeah.
today. I was scrolling. Yeah. Of
I appreciate you saying that. I thank you for saying that
course.
because, to put in a lot of work, the resilience I've put into this podcast of posting a podcast every single week for the listeners. And
How
I've been
many times
pulling
a day
great
do you
guests.
DM? How many times do you DM a day to ask for guests, for new guests?
Oh, that's a good question. Probably at least 20 to 50
A day.
people. But then sometimes I'm sending emails out as well.
Wow. Yeah.
But
That's
I mean,
that's
sometimes it's
dedication,
just
bro.
so many people that you just kind of like I ran into you because you were tagged in someone else I know. And I go,
Mhm.
ooh, and then I looked at your site, looked in everything you do, watched a whole bunch of podcasts, and I go, you know what? I think you'll be a great guest. I think you'll be a
Let's get
great
this guy.
fit.
Yeah.
and you responded like that. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that response time is perfect, for me. And I was like, let's shoot for Monday. And then, it's,
The internet is crazy because now this is going to show a difference in age here, but back in the day, you had to go through 2 or 3 different people to talk to anybody. Now you can DM anybody. And if you get somebody and they're on the phone at the right time, right? Because sometimes you're not on the phone, right? So you might get a delay, but you caught me at a good time. I'm like, I bet. And then you're like, what about this? I'm like, weekends don't work. You're like, Monday. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Because I'll be at the office till 7. Let's do it, right? And boom. And you just got to keep doing that, right? And people think, oh, it's luck. It's not luck. You're doing 20, 50 a day, bro.
yeah, and
It's
it's the
a lot. I mean, if
practice.
you
It's
think
the
about it, it's a lot.
practice. It's every podcast. I'm 136 podcasts in this Friday. I'm going to
Wow.
be releasing, and I've done
Wow.
this within a year and a couple months time. So it's something truly remarkable that I'm doing here. I think I've, first 100 episodes. I pushed forward that really fast, but it was just like I wanted to get the 20 in, and then I got to the 100 marker. But people see the number, which is shocking. You probably know this in your line of work too. People only see numbers and they're like, "Oh, this is the number you reached so far. What number are you at?" It's like, no, like dive into the stories and experiences of the people I've had on the show. Talk about some people that I've seen, talk about all these guests that I've had from around the world on the
Yeah.
podcast and all the work I've done to make this happen. That's the
Yeah.
truly remarkable thing about this is I
And the
do all the
cool thing,
editing, I do the thumbnails, I do the reaching out the
also you do
DMs.
everything.
I'm the host,
Wow.
and I
Man, I got
love what I do. I wouldn't do it if I didn't love it. I'll tell you that much. And every day is Friday for me. So,
yeah, I
you
know.
know,
So is the podcast, but you must meet a lot of cool people, right?
always
And
it's
how is
it's
that? I mean, you're
amazing.
only 20 something, man. Like that's dope. The people you're gonna meet, and that might change the way you think about things, right? Because me, I'm an OG. So I'm older. You ask me a question, I can give you like real answers of things that I've done, what you could do, what you shouldn't do, on the mistakes I made. So you're gonna make your own mistakes, but at least you'll
100%.
skip a few that I've done already, and I can tell you about. Right? That's why I tell my kids all the time, like, yo, you can make your own mistakes, but these are the ones I made. So don't make these. Make new ones, and we'll figure them out. But yeah, it's the experience, man. You want people to do better than you. I mean, if you're really about that, because that's another conversation. But like I really want people to do better than me. Like I think it's dope. I think it's dope. I think I've done pretty well from where I started. Right. So like wherever you start, you should be ahead of where you started, and that'd be dope. I mean, and I'm genuinely happy for people like that. And that's the part where you don't see too much. People that are genuinely happy for each other, man. That's hard. That's hard.
Now, what's the best piece of advice you can share right now for the listeners at this point in your life right now?
Everything in life is relationships. From your marriage to your business to your kids to your clients, the people you want to do business with. Everything is relationships. So if you focus on developing your relationship, for what it is, people will want to just work with you. If you approach too transactional, then you will probably get some work, but then you develop that relationship to be transactional, and you'll be discarded as soon as transaction's over. And I say that from experience. I've family members who treat me transactional are now in certain buckets, which is it's unfortunate, but it's true. It's the way they've treated me, right? You make a little success, they think they could just hit you for this, and you're like, "Yeah, bro, like the ATM's closed. I'm sorry. Like, come on, man. Like, what are we doing?" So now we're no longer like, "Hey, how you doing?" or "How's your family?" or "How's your mom?" It just now like, I look at the phone like, "Oh, here we go." Right? So establish your relationships, and they will pay you back. And I know it's hard when you're first starting because you're like in a rush to do everything, especially when you're young, because you don't understand, you don't got the wisdom, right? I got the wisdom right now. You don't got the wisdom. The first you're just going, but the part that helped me so tremendously was that everything I did to my best ability. So anybody who gave me a shot, I was like, I'm gonna hustle it, right? And they'd be like, "Oh shit, I just gave you this. What? How'd you do that?" And I was, "Well, you told me to do this, and I did this, this, and this, and then now we're here." And they're like, "Shit!" So they want to work with you more, right? So like, don't take any opportunities for granted. Like, whatever you're gonna do it well. Do it to your best of your ability, because that's what people can judge you on, right? So relationships and your ability.
Now, how has your faith guided you through your journey?
My faith, I've always asked. I'm very spiritual. I believe in ascension. I was raised Catholic. But my prayer has always been the same since I've been a kid, man. Since I've been a kid, because I've dealt with a lot of death. You know, I'm not trying to get morbid on it. My cousin died. Like people that were very close to me died. So I felt that pain. It was always simply give me the strength to wake up. I got the rest. Right. That was it. It was never like, some people, oh, I want money. I'll get the money. Let me wake up, because I've seen that too many times in my life where I have family members that don't wake up, and that shit breaks my heart. A month ago, I went on a flight to see like my second mother. I get there on a Saturday. I get to the hospital at 7:20 on a Sunday. She passed at 7:30. But I'm okay with that because I got to see her. Whether she was awake or not, it was just, you know, people that do for you in your life, especially when you get perspective, because you what you tend to understand, what tend to understand is that people you do things because of who you are, not because of what you expect. And that woman, my aunt, rest in peace, she was like a second mother to me. When my mother had to send me to Puerto Rico, she had no money for childcare and stuff. So she showed up for me as a young child, right? And so I wanted to show up for her as her son. So I was happy. I was really happy. I got to see her. I saw my sisters, who are my cousins, but I call them my sisters. I was able to help them because they were broken, and I was able to help them with taking care of the funeral arrangements and stuff like that. And I was on a plane in 24 hours or less. I left Monday morning, but I was there for that day, and that was all it was. And that's okay. And to the person from the outside looking in, be like, "Oh, that's crazy." Like, but no, it's not, because if somebody loved you, you love them back, and it's the way you love. Yeah,
I want to share this with you because this is something I say on the podcast every so often. And what you are is God's gift to you, and what you do with it is your gift to God. And you are a perfect example of that.
that's deep, man. That's deep. That's deep. I mean, listen, I tell my kids this all the time, and I'm like, "Yo, listen, man, be the best man you can be." Like I told them, you got to figure out who you want to be, right? And I was getting my youngest son has been getting a lot of the dad vibe because he's with me a lot. I'm like, "Look, man, this is who I am, and I'm not saying it's perfect. You got to figure out who you want to be." I was like, "If you're gonna ask me advice, be solid. You say you can do something, do something. Even if it costs you money, if you said you're gonna do it, you got to do it, bro." That's the one lesson I'll leave you with. I was like, if I die, I'll come out of my grave if you become something else, and I'll spook you. He's like, stop. But yeah, man, like I never had that. Like my step pops, I love either my pops, my step pops. They had their own demons, and they were good men, right? They were good men because my stepfather wasn't my father, but he took me into his own. And my pops, he's a Vietnam vet. When he went to war, he got caught up with all the shit in war, man. War's no joke, and they come back damaged and substance abuse and stuff like that, but they try to be there for me, and in whatever way they could be. So I try to be there for my boys in a bigger way, because I don't have that trauma. I have other traumas, right? But I feel that I don't know what show it was, but he says, just I'm just trying to be a little better than my father was. I don't know what show that was, but that's what I try to do. I just try to be better, and hopefully I propel them to be better versions of themselves.
I think every father wants that out of their kid. They want
Well,
their
I
kid to
lost
be
both of
better than
mine very
them.
young, so I didn't have that conversation. But yeah, yeah, yeah. And there's a true difference in young men having father figures in their life, bro. I grew up in the 90s and 80s where it was like, there was like a mass exodus of men leaving because of whatever, financial or chemical. But yeah, there's a difference, man, because we interact with our sons differently, right? We're showing them like a blueprint, and like, you don't have that. If you're not close to that, like, you're looking on TV to see that, like, and, TV is just for fucking entertainment. It's not really there to
Hmm.
guide young men. So, yeah, you took me on a deep one, man. That was a good question.
I was gonna ask you, what's your biggest takeaway of having kids? To someone that
Bi
doesn't have any kids.
Your kids will make you more responsible than you'll ever be on your own. I was more of a cowboy when I had my first one 19. And I was a bit of a cowboy, like, fuck the world, and that could have been where I grew up. Like, the Bronx was, like, crazy, and there was drugs and gangs and shit. But then you have this, like, little guy that looks up to you, and he's asking you questions, and you're like, "I gotta be here." Like, I I I'm responsible for that, right? Like, and being a good dad. So, it will change you into getting more locked in. That's really it. You'll be so locked in because you want to do something for him. Like you don't know what you want to do, but I still don't know what I want to do for my kids. I just want to be a good guy for them, help them through school. My kids don't have any student loans. Like that was my gift. What they do with it is on them, right? Because like I tell them all the time, like I'm not gonna tell you what to do. I'm just gonna give you the option.
I love that, giving them every opportunity in life.
Yeah.
And, Omar, it's, I want to ask you this one because, like, what's been the biggest driving factor for success in your career? Can you break it down?
The biggest driving factor for for success or whatever we call success, right? Has just been that I grew up in extreme scarcity and I knew this was not it, bro. Like I was like, this sucks. So I didn't have like an example of what was good because even my stepfather, rest in peace, he was great, but he was like ghetto rich, right? Like he was in the mafia, little things he used to do, and sneakers and going out and all that. But he didn't believe in real estate. He didn't know. I started. There'll be a certain part in your life where you start surpassing your parents a little bit in terms of intellectually, and I started doing that. And I was in like my late 20s when I started doing that, and it just like like my mom, I was like when they get divorced, I was like, Mom, we should buy a house. She was like, "You sure?" I was like, "This is the move. Like, we have to pay rent to be somewhere. Let's buy a house so we pay our own shit." And some like a single woman, I was her oldest child, and she believed in me, so I took that responsibility very seriously, and I started propelling them because I learned, right? I was paying attention. Like I was working at a restaurant. I was meeting people. I worked at this place called. I've never said this on podcast before. I worked at Bumble and Bumble as head of security, meaning doorman, at a hair salon, 59th Street, where in the early 2000s they were paying $400 for haircuts. So that's like $1,000 now. So the people that were going through there, like you're meeting people and they're talking to you because they used to all love smoke cigarettes. So I'd be outside because I'm the doorman, and they want to chop it up with you. And I would just take everything I could learn from these people and not apply it because sometimes they were so far away, right? Like if you're talking to a guy who's managing his family's money, like I'm so detached from that. But then you'll meet a guy who works at the NFL, and he'll tell you how he got on there. And like there's just you got to look for your education where you can. There's school education, but there's life education, and being around good people is an education. So I think that opened my eyes to a different way of life. And
Yeah, there's two types there's book smarts and street smarts.
right, right, right. And then and interpersonal, right? Like you like I can go into any party and talk to anybody and I can find value in it, right? Because I'm looking for it. That's the part where people sometimes they diminish others and they don't want to there's something to learn from the guy who's homeless. Don't do that, right? Whatever he's doing, whatever got him there, don't do that. Like, right, there's a lesson in that. But it's hard to tell people without laughing. But I'm like, yo, man, like if you look hard enough, you can learn a lesson anywhere. And I've been really good at that. I think I'm still good at that.
Yeah, I kind of do the same thing. I kind of just take away because everyone has something you can learn from.
Yeah, yeah. And especially you in this podcast space, bro. Like you're touching so many different types of lifestyles that I'm sure that you're learning a lot.
Oh, I'm learning so much every podcast, every guest. I've learned a lot from this podcast alone. Everyone, check out his page in the description down below. Highly recommend watching his content. He does stuff daily. He posts, he's been
Really.
doing this for how long now? How many times you've been posting for
I'm now
straight
7 years. I said it the other
7
day at
years?
60. It's 7 years of posting every day at least once for 7 years.
I'm on a year and a half almost now, so I'm gonna catch up. I got 2,000, almost 2,000 posts now. I think,
Beautiful.
yeah, almost 2,000 posts in that time. I've been posting,
Yeah.
and it's a hustle. I'll tell you that much. And Omar, I really want to ask you. The show is called Every Day is Friday, and Friday
Yes.
has a special energy, whether it's like freedom, excitement, or just feeling of accomplishment after a long week. Omar, I want to hear from you. What does Friday mean to you?
I don't look at the week like that. But Fridays usually I'm gearing up for my weekend to do some stuff socially with the family. Besides work, because work is what like being self-employed is whenever it's needed, you got to be there. But it's like Saturday mornings, me and my wife go to the gym. My brother-in-law and her sister show up. We play pickleball after we work out. Like we do some connecting stuff. Some connecting stuff. Like I bring my son comes. He works at the gym. And then afterwards we'll hang out at the house. So it's the family is very important to me. Because if you allow it, your business can kind of dominate your whole life. So I've kind of figured out a rhythm where if it's needed, I'll be there, but I try not to schedule anything on a Saturday or Sunday. I think I told you that. I was like, I can't do weekends because I'm here. Look, it's 8:30 and I'm still in my office with you, which is fine. I'm not saying that. But Monday through Friday, that's really that's the gig for me. Like 24 hours. So I got to be available. I'm available. So the weekends I try to give back and stay connect with the family. And then with wifey doing so much real estate now, and I'm usually at an open house with her or driving her somewhere where we get to spend time, but we're also kind of working. It's not like we're just chilling. Like we're being of service. We're, educating or we're going to see property. So it's not like just lulling time. But Fridays, I kind of look forward to being able to have my Saturday mornings, and just spending time with my family. As you get older, that'll resonate a lot more with you. You know what I mean? Once you get your own family, then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Oh shit, yeah. But when I was younger, Fridays meant hanging out. Fridays meant get back home Sunday. That's what that meant to me when I was in my 20s. But that's
No,
different.
I love it. Friday equals family time.
Yeah, yeah. I shut it down.
And all the information in the description down below. I want to make sure that people know where to follow you. We're going to be able to follow and support your work.
Ask Luis Omar on every platform. Ask Luis Omar on every platform. I did that on purpose. Make it easy.
Now, this is your chance to leave listeners with something powerful. Is there anything else you want to share?
Make sure that you leave more in this world than you take. And if you approach life that way, bro, things will open up for you so much. Like you'll get so much opportunity. It'll be ridiculous, but it's only because you're giving with no expectation. You have to give. People see your value. They'll want to reciprocate. They want to be around somebody like that. They want to be like that. You inspire people through action, not through talking. And that's a big thing. Somebody's always watching, man. Somebody, whether it's your kid, your wife, somebody is always watching because you'll get the weirdest shit where somebody will quote you and you're like, what the fuck? And they're like, oh yeah, I was listening to you. And then, one of my friends has the funniest things. Oh, you feel you need to get inspired more? Watch your Instagram page. Like I'm like, all right, asshole. So yeah, man, give more than you take, and this world will change.
I want to bounce off of that. The
Sure.
haters are watching you as well. So the people that
Yeah,
hate you throughout your journey, they're watching. Trust me on that one.
yeah, yeah. I'm at to a point where I don't really. I think when I was younger, I paid more attention to that. Now, whatever, because I know that our time is so finite. Like it's. I know, like even if I reach 100 years old, it's a fucking blink of the eye in the universe. Like, so just focus on what you want, because if you get like distracted, where the focus goes, the energy, or the focus flow. No, where the focus goes, the energy flows. Right. So always try to focus on what you want, not on what you don't want. You'll see that even if you give it a temporary look and be like, ah, fuck it, and just come back to it, because you are what you're doing most of the time. Right. So if I can leave people with that, focus on what you want. Everything else is just noise. That's another big mantra of mine, which I believe in, because we get caught up in this whole insecurity of what do people think. It doesn't fucking matter, bro. Like, do wherever you're going, go get there. And if you don't like it, then turn the direction. Like, make a left, make a right. Like, you know what I'm saying? But live with purpose, man. Like, too many people drift. You gotta move with purpose all the time.
Yeah, moving with purpose is key. And also, if you have a thought that you want to take action on, do it within the 2 hours you thought of that. Because that without doing it within the next 2 hours, it's gonna be forgotten forever.
Oh shit, I like that. I
So
like that.
always have, like,
You
you
got
were
some
talking
bars
about
too,
something
man.
about
You got
you.
some bars. Yeah.
You were talking about how you were doing, like, you had a thought and you just made the content. That's what you have
Yeah.
to do. As soon as you
Yeah.
have the thought about doing anything, if you have you want to write something down for your book, or if you want to make a note later, or you want to, like, make a post, and you
It's
want
true.
do it within the next 2 hours, get it done with, and move on. That's the best. That's the best advice I have for everything I'm doing here, and
Love it.
that's what you have to do. And I appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for inviting me, man. And thanks for taking action. I'm glad we connected quickly and we made it happen. So you had two doers on the interaction, because we made it happen. It was Friday, right? You give me Friday?
Every day is Friday.
And today is the next Friday, and we're here. We're here.
So, I appreciate you being here. Thank you for sharing your stories and experiences. And to everyone listening, stay tuned for more amazing stories on Everyday's Friday Podcast 365. If you enjoyed this, make sure you follow, share, and keep that Everyday's Friday mindset going. Stay inspired and make every day feel like Friday. Till next time, everybody. Peace.